Welcome to Art with Odds, your front row seat to the stories behind the Indian art world and the trailblazers who define it. Today we have with us Mr. Nakul Chawla. Chawla Art Gallery has been one of India's largest and most respectable art galleries since its inception in 1967 by Mr. D.V. Chawla. After that, we have seen Mrs. Shivani Chawla alongside Nakul run it. Tell me, Nakul, you're the third generation of Chawla Art Gallery. What are you doing differently?
So that's a good question. I think when the gallery started, my granddad was obviously dealing with the artists directly because most of the artists that I deal in now are not living anymore.
Yeah.
So I think sourcing is extremely difficult now.
Primary versus secondary.
Correct. So in terms of modern art, it's all secondary right now, right? So I guess sourcing for me is key because actually if you have a very, very good painting, it's easier to sell than source because you have the auction houses after it.
Yeah.
You have multiple other people dealing in modern art after it. So I guess my focus now is really sourcing, top quality art.
Could you walk us through the differences between what you do versus what Mrs. Shivani Chawla does?
That's a good question. She's primarily dealing in art from more living artists, and I'm concentrating more on modern artists.
Okay. What are the interests of Mrs. Chawla?
Of my mom?
Yeah.
Interests as in personal interest?
Not personal interests, like artistic, more contemporary focused.
Oh, yeah. I would say more decorative, contemporary, obviously, and senior contemporary. And she, since we, do have a client base which is fairly, since the 60s, so they're fairly looking for modern art as well. So she does here and there, work on deals of modern artists. But on a day-to-day, I would say she's focusing more on senior contemporaries and contemporaries.
And she has been quite experienced with this. How would you suggest she pushed Chawla Art Gallery through the 2008 crisis?
So she actually joined the gallery post-marriage, I want to say in the 80s. And then our gallery used to be at the Oberoi since 1967. And I think we moved out from Oberoi in the early 2000s and we moved into this place called 1MG Road, which now it's demolished. But I think it was one of the first fashion malls and it had a couple of art galleries. So we moved there right before the crash. And so she has actually seen all our, retail outlets since inception, I want to say. So during the crash, I think, I would say money is also made mainly in a down market, right? If you have the holding power during down markets, that's when you actually make the margin it's a full cycle, right? The market will eventually come up. Like right now, I would say the market is peaking, right? I would say it's, if not at its peaking. But we have to be prepared, if it turns. So
that's an interesting concept.
Yeah.
What do you feel in Indian art is peaking? Is it the?
So I feel since COVID, a lot of people made a lot of money from real estate and the stock market, right? So there was a lot of liquidity in the market, new buyers coming in, buyers who actually bought before the crash coming back in. So I feel it's strange because in a down market when the prices are low, people don't look at it even if they have the money. But now what I'm noticing is that people who are buying back in the day are buying again.
Okay.
So we have this influx of new buyers and buyers who hadn't bought in a while, just, to be part of the wave. So I feel there's a lot of money being pumped into art, but once, their appetite is saturated, and if, considering the world is also in a very unstable position, I want to say, with the US economy not doing the best, the UK economy is, struggling, and with multiple wars happening in the world, I feel there's just a trigger which could collapse. We're not only talking about the art market, but
In general.
could collapse the world market, right?
Okay.
So I guess we all have to be slightly cautious of how much money we are investing in, putting into art. So it's a very tricky position right now, because once the market is peaking, you want to sell as well and buy as well, but you can't really say when it's going to turn, right? But it obviously would not be for the better if no one's buying. But if, us being in the trade, and if we have liquidity, that's when you actually buy, right? Something which was worth, say, hundreds of fees.
Yeah.
You get it at 50. You see the margin. That's where the real deals actually happen in a down market, be it in any sector, not only art.
Okay. So back to you, Nakul. You're very young. You're only 31.
29 till I'm 40.
Yeah. So, do you see yourself going into the primary market, or would you want to stay as a secondary?
See, I would rather be known for selling a particular, be it whatever, be it secondary, primary, but I want to be known for selling a particular, how do I put it? Like, I don't want to be all over the place where I'm selling contemporary, modern, all, like, even be it early Bengal or company school, or, foreign artists selling Indian subjects, like Daniels, Weeks, and multiple. Now you're seeing, that is also really coming up in the market. But I guess I want to be in the sector I am, which is modern art right now.
Okay.
And not...
That's your passion.
And that's my passion. That's what I enjoy. I don't really, relate too much with contemporary artists. So,
what do you enjoy about modern that you don't see in contemporary?
I mean, just the type of art, right? It's a personal preference, like fashion. I just prefer modern art to contemporary art. I can't put a reason to it,
Whatever. Have you ever wanted to do something else? Because you've had a great family legacy with Chawla Art Gallery. So,
ideally I would, I don't know what, but I would have liked to do something else so I can buy art and keep it for myself. Because that's the downside of being in the trade. You can't really keep what you have, right? Because that's your bread and butter. So you have to eventually know that you're going to part with that work, however good it is.
Now let's talk about one of your other ventures, Art Mumbai. So why did you start Art Mumbai?
So I co-founded Art Mumbai with Dinesh, Minal and Connor in last year, which is 2023.
Yeah, November.
Yeah. November was our first edition, and the idea actually came up. I've been trying to do this before COVID, but earlier it started with Delhi. Then obviously there was no space in Delhi to do 2 art fairs. So then we pivoted to doing Bombay. Right. And then I remember in COVID, I met Dinesh and I said, we should definitely do this because there's a gap in the market and Bombay is a massive market. And I don't see many Bombay clients flying down to Delhi for the fair.
Okay.
Right. So during the first wave, we had actually thought we'd do it, but then when COVID hit, we couldn't. And then we thought we'll do it in 2022, but the second wave hit. In 2023, we just, we thought that if not now, then someone else could come.
Yeah.
Not never, but if someone else came in and did that fair, we could never have done it, right? Because, there's not, I don't think the market can sustain 2 fairs per city as of now, right? So, I think it was great. It was the first time that galleries from Delhi were going to Bombay and actually... meeting clients there, as opposed to galleries from other cities coming to Delhi and meeting the Delhi clients, So I think it was really good for the market as well. It was good for the locals of Bombay also to have an avenue to buy.
Do you think that's helping bring the Indian art market to a higher peak than it is?
Obviously, I mean, if sales are happening, the numbers are increasing as well, right? So I guess everyone is growing the market together. That's the full point of the fair. Since we are also introducing our own clients to what you would say are competitors, right? But I feel that if you want to walk fast, you walk alone. But if you want to go far, you walk together, right? So if all of us come together, that's when the market actually grows. And that's when the prices of all these, even modern art, like the higher the value, the more we make as well, right? So
collaboration over competition, as we spoke about. Yeah. Do you remember the first time the concept of art Mumbai solidified for you?
It's funny because I entered the art world in 2013. And a company I formed then was called Global Art Hub, which is still a company I use for invoicing the art. But that company primarily did small fairs at a very minuscule scale, right? It was like 8 to 10 galleries.
Was it contemporary, modern?
It was a mix.
Okay.
We had actually really, really good galleries who had joined, had faith in me to do it back then, but it wasn't feasible for me to do it. There was not much money in it because these were basically shows which were just a day long, so there was not much I could do. Then I pivoted to an online model where I wanted to make like an Amazon of fine art.
Okay.
Then I found out that people rather see it and they're not spending these values. At least I think it was too early for its time. And then I went more into like a 24/7 art fair where it was a subscription model where galleries paid me to be on it and they had their own page.
Sort of like India Art Fair in Delhi?
No, this was all online. This was not a physical thing.
Okay.
And then I went for my postgrad. And then when I came back is when I actually thought there's more money in dealing art. And after a while, it becomes a bit monotonous, doing the same thing again and again. So I think I wanted to venture out in a different, aspect of art. And I think that's where I thought the art fair fit perfectly and also in, what my skill set is.
So with a little more than a decade in the art world, what is the most significant shift you've seen in the market?
In what way?
Monetarily.
I mean, the prices have exponentially increased. The shift that I see is that people are moving slightly away from the typical modern artists, which you would say Raza Hussain, D'Souza, Ram Kumar, and they're trying to, because if you already have all this, how do you expand your collection, right? You're going to go and explore different artists. If they're fond of modern, then you'll see which other, undervalued and underappreciated modern artists. So you can take a good example of, say, a Heber or a Bendre, which approximately 3 years back you would probably get at like nothing,
But now it's so
5x, 10x of what it was then.
Okay.
So what the shift I'm seeing is that a lot of undervalued and underappreciated artists are in demand. And now what I'm seeing is a lot of artists, foreign artists who have done Indian subjects, those are also, the market for that is widening.
As somebody who deals art, how do you predict what to hold and what to keep for the future? So that it's
see, regardless of the artist, a good work will always set.
What are the qualities of a good work, in your opinion?
I mean, everyone knows a good work from a bad work, right? It's not like I'm saying this is a really good Souza and someone saying it's not. Yeah. I'm talking about an A+ Souza. So if you go to the auction and actually see from the clients to the dealers to the critics, everyone knows that, okay, this is a great Souza. Why do you think that particular work will skyrocket?
Okay.
Right? So when I mean, you would only, replace it if you're upgrading, right? But even in order to make money on your investment, you still have to buy a good quality work.
Okay. What do you feel is the next big change coming in the art world? Are we ever seeing another renaissance in our time?
Everyone said NFTs would change the art world, but I don't think anything happened. There were mainly people who were investing in crypto, buying NFTs. You didn't see many serious collectors really buying NFTs. So it's one of the oldest trades in the world, right? And art has been going on since centuries, as you know. So I don't see a major change in term, I mean, there could be a change in the way you buy and sell art because of AI, right? I don't know what AI could do, but I would say this is the only unique man-made artist asset there is.
Is the wave of digital art tidling away?
I mean, I've never been into it. I won't have an opinion because, as I said, I'm not too much into contemporary art. So I wouldn't be the best person, to answer that.
How do you see Chawla Art Gallery contributing to the art community as a whole?
I think providing top quality works which are genuine at a fair price, I think that's a service that we can provide.
What do you see as the biggest challenge in the art market today?
I mean, challenge, I guess everyone would say that, but it's sourcing. It's a very obvious one. So that's primarily, the biggest issue. And I would also say that fakes, right?
Yeah.
There are a lot of fakes, especially in modern art. I mean,
so as a secondary market gallery, how do you spot fakes? Because I'd understand primary, there's certification, you have the artist you're representing. Secondary, please walk me through the process.
It's not the easiest process because, in the press there has been a case which has been made public on how a collector had bought wrong works. So I would say the best way is to get a second opinion. I would say go to an auction house or a gallery you trust, and obviously do your research on the paperwork and the history of the work, the provenance, the sources, where it's coming from. It gets a little tricky when the work is not published or sold from an auction or a gallery, right? If the toughest works are those works which are actually bought directly from the artist. So those are the works you have to research on, and I think the simplest and easiest way is to show it to an auction house.
Okay.
At least that's what I do, when I'm confused.
Back to Chawla Art Gallery, how do you handle the commercial pressures of running a gallery?
Commercial pressures by you mean by like running the gallery?
Yeah, we're running the gallery.
So I guess we don't have too much pressure on like the expenses of the gallery because we own the space. So I don't think we have stress on that front. I think the stress we face is sometimes on, it's not really stress, right? If it's beyond your budget, you're not going to buy the work.
Yeah.
But I guess sometimes when you really, really like a work and you don't have that liquidity at that particular point of time, on how to raise those funds. So,
okay.
But I won't really call it stress because I don't think there's a commercial stress to it.
Mm-hmm. That's
because it's not like a factory where you have like 200, 300 people really working, So I guess the stress is actually on just how much you can churn in order to upgrade, get better quality works. And I feel ownership is key in today's market, right? Because if you're selling works which are not owned by you, the seller can realistically change his price. He can give it to another dealer. He can consign it to an auction, right? So, I think the main struggle and the stress is the ownership or the mandate to sell.
And Chawla has been successful in those aspects. Your time with Chawla, what would you consider the most successful exhibition from both a financial and curatorial perspective?
That's a great question, actually. There was a show I did at the Dalmia House. When I look at that catalog as compared to today's market, I would it's very, very hard to find those quality works now and at those prices.
Okay.
So I think if not the most financially successful, I think in terms of quality of the catalog, that was the most successful.
And the supply is just drying on it for the modern masters.
You do get everything you want if you're patient, right?
Okay. So it's a long game.
Yeah, it's as I said in the beginning, it's all about sourcing. Right? If you have the money and you're willing to pay the price, realistically, you can get any work.
Speaking about prices, how do you approach pricing art in such a competitive market?
I mean, it's all based on quality, right? If you're dealing with a work, a B category or B plus category work, you would have to go with market rates, right? And you obviously compare with the most recent sales in auctions because those are public, right? Everyone has access to that information, so that's where you would compare it to. But if you have an A plus work, you can price it whatever you want.
How often do you find yourself engrossed in an auction? Like, do you...
You mean in terms of buying or selling?
both.
So we consign to auctions and we buy from them.
Okay.
Of course, but it's not like you buy it from an auction and you sell it instantly, then you have to hold the work.
What's the most memorable piece of art you've ever seen?
I would say there's this work, it's called Titian's Grandfather by F.N. Souza. That's one of my personal favorites that I've sold.
Okay. You describe the experience of selling it?
I mean, it was the buyer and seller would both know it was a very tough process to close it. But I think it went to a home where the work would never come out.
How long did it take you?
To close? It was probably a 3 to 5 month process of the full transaction to close. But I think both parties, including me, were happy at the end.
Yeah. If you could represent any, I understand that you're a secondary gallerist, but if you could represent as a primary gallerist any historical artist, who would it be and why?
It could be Indian, right? Or it could be
anyone.
I mean, primarily, I would have loved to deal with Souza in the 50s. That would be, that's my favorite. It's not like I have, like I like most of the modern artists, but I have a particular period which is my favorite of that particular.
Why so?
Just I think those works, resonate with me better than the other period.
Okay. What's the most eccentric thing you've done to promote an art exhibition?
The craziest thing I've done is actually I met a client in Mykonos, and I got to know him there, and then organically I think we started dealing after that trip. So, and I didn't even know he collects art.
Yeah. If you could curate a dream exhibition, what would it be? Would you stick with that idea of Souza from the 50s?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
What has your biggest challenge been while curating a show?
I mean, I think it, like I told you, main challenges are sourcing and authenticity.
Okay.
We got it.
Yeah. So I love this question. What's the biggest secret of the art world that nobody talks about? That you often find yourself hiding when you're with other people?
I mean, you tell a seller, "Ke kaam bikta nahi hai" when you're buying, and when you tell a buyer that kaam milta nahi hai when you're selling.
If you could give one piece of advice to any younger art enthusiasts who want to get into the business of selling, what would it be?
I mean, I would just focus on selling authentic art, and that, if you're just entering, you can get really, really swayed by profit margins when the work is incorrect or there's a doubt. So I would just not advise, but suggest to, pay more focus on the provenance and authenticity of the work.
Is it too late to enter the market for the modern masters?
No, not at all. If the main thing you actually need in modern art is having a really, really good eye. Because it's, regardless of where the painting is, a buyer will always come and buy it, right? It's like when you watch a show, you don't care if it's on Netflix, Prime or Hotstar, whatever, right? You're going for content. So content is king. So if the work is authentic, you're going to go wherever the work is to buy it.
And how do you develop that eye for authentic?
You just got to see more and more works.
Okay. So through auctions, books, going to shows, just see more works of the same artist. Your eye will mature. So many people view art as an investment good. Do you agree with that statement?
I mean, yes, because that's something historically, if you see, it's an asset which has always held that value, and you can see it through the auction which the Rockefellers did on how much the art actually sold for and how much their real estate sold for. So there was more return on the art aspect. So obviously it's a great investment as long as you have the holding power. And I wouldn't say, sorry to interrupt, but I wouldn't say it's recession proof, just to add to that, but I guess in the long term it's a great investment.
how do you know when is the right time? Is it just a gamble?
To buy or sell?
No, to sell.
I mean, right now is the best time to sell, I would say.
But what if it...
I mean, you can't predict, right?
Yeah.
You can't predict which contemporary artist is going to be the next modern, right? Otherwise, we all would be investing only in the, right? So you can't really, tell. But if you're getting a good price, if you're getting tomorrow's price today, why wouldn't you sell?
Okay. So now moving on to the rapid fire questionnaire. If you could have dinner with any one artist, past or present, who would it be?
I guess Sousa again. Because I was too young when he was alive.
One outside India.
I would probably go with Van Gogh.
Okay. Have you ever shown a piece of work that you were secretly embarrassed by?
Not really.
Okay. Who is an overvalued popular Indian artist?
I would say half the contemporary art market.
Okay. Wow. Any names?
No.
No names.
They know who they are.
Yeah. Okay. What is your favorite work of art that you personally own?
I mean, as I said, I have favorite periods of every artist. So it'd be probably, Sousa from the 50s, Razas from the 50s and 80s. So like just here and there.
In terms of your competition in the market, who is your biggest inspiration?
I would say Dinesh is always been a mentor to me, and I really look up to him in the art space.
What's the most unexpected reaction to you've seen to work or an exhibition you've curated?
Actually, I haven't received any.
Okay.
I don't want to make something up.
Concluding with a rapid fire, for the final few questions, where do you see yourself and your gallery 10 years down the line?
I mean, I guess hopefully expand to a different city.
Okay. In India? Abroad?
I would ideally like to go to London.
Can you share some personal anecdotes on your artists, shows, things that have gone right, things that have gone wrong?
I mean, I've told you like kind of a history. So it's, I guess, all about pivoting and changing and not, I think in art and in any field, like comfort is the worst enemy, right? So it's all about changing and adapting to what's the latest trend at that particular point of time.
Have you had any interactions with artists that you like to talk about?
I mean, I was way too young when I met Hussein a few times, as my granddad used to, was one of his primary galleries. So every time we would go for dinner with him, I guess a lot of old collectors would know he would normally draw something on a napkin of the restaurant. So that was quite cool.
And how do you remember him?
I mean, he was larger than life, and he was like, I guess one of the best marketing individuals that you can, take examples of, be it in any sector. He was everywhere.
Yeah. So, Nakul, tell me, how do you want to be remembered in the art world? What legacy do you hope to leave behind?
I mean, I guess the beauty of the art world is that every artwork you've sold is your legacy. Right? Tomorrow, someone's kid or grandkid wants to sell a work that I've sold to them, they will always use my name. So I guess that's the legacy, and I feel the works which I've sold, I guess most of the people, hopefully, I want to say, will enjoy it, rather than just see it as a investment, because this is something that you literally... It's an investment for your eye, I would say.
Interesting. It's personal. It's more than...
Exactly. But it's something you cross every day in your home, right? It's literally... A painting is your home.
Yeah. You have to enjoy looking at it.
Correct. You see comfort in it when you walk home, right? That's why people buy it. It makes you feel better.
Okay. So that concludes our questionnaire. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
For being on Art with us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening or watching.